simple things, and so many families, don't have those bases covered, and then they'll come to me and say, "Oh, should I buy Bitcoin?" It's like, what about this other stuff?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. You can't invest here until you get these basics taken care of.
Well, you can, but I mean, it's kind of, it's backwards.
Yeah, and it's kind of like being in Vegas throwing the roulette wheel.
Welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Anchored in family values, Wayne offers practical advice to help you get the most out of your retirement years. For more information, visit today'sretirees.com. Now, here's your host.
And welcome to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. On today's program, I am completely noteless.
Note-free.
And Wayne knows that I like to have things organized. So he threw me a curveball today. But no, seriously, we are going to talk about some basic, fundamental financial planning that you need to have in your life, in your family's life, because we don't know what tomorrow brings.
Absolutely.
And if we're not planning, the old adage, if you're not if you don't have a plan, then you're really planning to fail.
Oh, right.
You've heard that adage.
It's true. Well, I mean, and it's only if the I guess the not normal thing happens. I mean, if you look at normal mortality, normal life expectancy, you can see why a lot of people, just don't take care of the basics.
Sure.
But, it's the family where something does happen, like an accident or an early diagnosis of a disease, heart attack, whatever. The family can be devastated. I mean, depending on how many kids they have, did the spouse work, and now this person doesn't have life insurance.
Sure. And
they have all these young kids and no funding. No more college, at least the way it was planned.
Right.
No more normal age retirement for the spouse. Just the whole life changes if things aren't in place.
Sure.
And one of the reasons I want to talk about this is, over the past shows we were talking Bitcoin and what stock should we get and, how to save on taxes and Roth conversions, all that stuff. But, a lot of times people overlook the basics. Do they have the proper amount of life insurance in place? Do they have disability insurance in place? I mean, I've been paying on a disability insurance policy on myself for 25 years.
Okay.
You're talking, $300 a month for 25 years.
Sure.
That's not an easy payment, mentally to
Right.
make, on top of all the life insurance that I have. I told my wife, if I pass away unexpectedly, wear black, look down and just know you're going to be very wealthy in about 3 weeks. So, and those payments are not, they're not fun to make, but they should be made. And so many people don't have those bases covered.
Sure. And we don't. When I say we, as a family, sometimes we don't take into consideration the survivors, just the trauma they're going through.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's more of a selfish thing because, if it's a death, you're dead. So some people are like, I'm dead. What do I care? And it's kind of a selfish thing to not have your family, taken care of.
Sure.
You're worried about your hobbies or your clothes or furnishing your house or going on vacation, yet, you can't, pay $200-$300 a year for a simple term policy.
Sure.
And so where are the priorities there? Right. So I don't know if people think they're not, it's not possible I'm going to die, or they don't like thinking about death, so they don't cover basic life insurance issues or even disability. It's disabilities maybe more likely, for somebody than death. And
sure.
And I think it's one of the most underinsured things is your profession, your career, what you do for a living. If you can't do that anymore, you can't earn a living, how are you going to keep maintaining your lifestyle?
Sure.
So disability policies cover that.
Do you think and again, you've been doing this a while. Do you think some of it is just ignorance on the person's part, or just basic
They know about it.
procrastination?
I think it's a selfish thing.
Okay.
It's a laziness thing. It's an I don't want to think about it thing.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Sure.
But I don't know the answer. But it's people feel I work for this employer and they have disability insurance, and some do. Some have short-term and long-term disability. But you have to be you have to work for an employer that covers that, and not all do. Sure. And same with life insurance. People have group life insurance through their employer, but
right.
So many people, they're not with one company forever now.
Right.
They switch jobs every so many years. So when you leave your employer, that insurance, you leave that behind too.
Sure. Well, as we talk about this, is there a basic rule of thumb to let's say that you have income of something, whatever that is, let's say it's $100,000 a year, that's your family income. Is there a rule of thumb for my life insurance or my disability? Should I be planning for $1 million or
disability? If you buy a disability policy, normally they'll give you like 60% of your salary.
Okay.
So if you were earning 100, you're not going to be able to buy 100 of insurance. You'll get 60,000 of insurance. Life insurance, it's on you, and there's the simple way to do it is so many times your gross earnings, which the number's anywhere from 5 to 7, just industry standard. But then there's needs based. Needs based is living the way you and your family lives. How many years do you want to be able to cover that, allowing, say, if you're a male, your spouse to stay home? And just live the lifestyle you wanted your family to live while you were alive.
Sure.
And just one quick way to look at before we go to break here is, if you talk about your son Neil, he's got a family, wife and I've got 5 children.
5 children.
Gee whiz. So if someone were to kill him in say a DUI, right, a driving accident, how much would Neil's wife sue the other person for? What value? Could they put a life value or human value on? How much would they sue him for?
Sure.
Would it be just $100,000, like a group term insurance?
Most likely not, right?
Most likely not.
Yeah.
So you could use that as a guideline too.
Sure. Okay. We're going to take a quick break right here. Take the time to go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the basics of financial planning that you need to have in your family's life. We'll be back right after this.
So we've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? And one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account. A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find an independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.
Welcome back to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Today we are talking about some basic financial planning that you need for your family. In the previous segment, we were talking about some simple things that, not strategies, but just some simple things that you need to have in your family financial plan, so that in case of a catastrophic issue, a death, a medical disability, something happens.
Accidental disability even, yeah.
Things, life isn't always fair, is it?
No.
We look around and people are having issues.
And I think, a general thing is that people, they see things happening to other people, they can't see it happening to themselves.
Sure.
So, when I talked, we talked off the air about a friend of ours, or their child is a doctor, right? Mm-hmm. So we're saying, hey, even a doctor who's successful, maybe more successful than the parents, but they still need the basics too. Mm-hmm. The proper amount of life insurance, that they own, not through work.
Sure.
Because you don't ever know who you're going to work for. A proper amount of coverage for disability insurance. Mm-hmm. And with disability, there's two general types of policies. There's any occupation, ENIOC, and ONOC, your own occupation.
Okay.
So if you're a doctor, you want a policy that's going to cover your own occupation.
Sure.
If you can go sell T-shirts down at the corner, that doesn't mean you want to do it if you're a doctor, right? You want a policy to kick in when you can't perform surgery or whatever else.
Right.
Life insurance too. I mean, the cheap way out of life insurance is a term policy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, if you die, it could be a 10-year term, 20-year term. And if you die within that term, then it's going to pay out. If you live beyond the term, the policy expires,
Mm-hmm.
or gets so expensive you can't afford it. But that's why term is so cheap.
Right.
Most people, I think less than 2%, will die within that term.
Sure.
So it never gets paid out.
Right.
So and some families, should have permanent insurance, insurance that, takes you to age 100 or beyond. Mm-hmm. So someone gets a check, you're going to pay the premium, you want someone to benefit from it.
Sure, absolutely.
And those are just insurance. There's two basic insurances that most families should have. And, the other part of the basics of just the bare bones financial planning is the legal documents, which we've talked about in the past.
Sure.
Updated will or trust, power of attorney for health care, power of attorney for finance, and a health care directive. Do you want to be kept alive? Do you, do not resuscitate, or do you want the plug pulled? Those, simple things. And so many families, don't have those bases covered. And
Sure.
then they'll come to me and say, oh, should I buy Bitcoin? It's like, what about this other stuff?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. You can't invest here until you get these basics taken care of.
Well, you can, but I mean, it's kind of, it's backwards.
Yeah, and it's kind of like being in Vegas throwing a roulette wheel or something.
It's just, it's not common sense. It's not the way to do things.
Sure. So is there a, when, we're talking, primarily folks my age probably, when should, let's back up.
Your age, you're too late.
Well, that's what I was
we're talking about young people.
That's what I was going to ask.
And that is a good point, because, even folks your age, there are people your age that haven't done proper legal planning. Mm-hmm. I mean, their estate plan is either, non-existent or not updated. But if you didn't have life insurance enough or disability through your working career, you're through it, mm-hmm. right? So you made it, which most people will. But you could still teach other people, though, your kids and grandkids, that hey, I did it this way and I made it through, luckily. But doesn't mean you have to do it. Your family
Sure.
has to do it.
Right.
So, and when I talk about this stuff on the shows and I write in the newsletters, it's not just for my normal client's
mm-hmm.
age, close to retired or retired.
Right.
It's for their family too.
Sure. So when should you look at that? I mean, when you're fresh out of school, or when you first get married,
Immediately.
My thing, a lot of guys ride motorcycles, and I've always told people, this is just purely my opinion, so you can take it for what it's worth. The only two people that should ever ride a motorcycle are the people before they get married to have responsibilities,
Sure.
or after they're retired, and if they
Right.
if they're demise,
Right.
it's not going to hurt somebody.
I mean, you could say the same for a lot of sports. Even flying, private pilots and
Sure.
stuff like that. But yeah, I had a motorcycle before I was married, and we're empty nesters now. I don't have one, but
you're looking
I wanted one. No, not anymore. I did. My wife wouldn't let me because we had kids. I mean,
Sure.
it's just which is But you'll say that, but then that person that shouldn't have a motorcycle because of the danger, they're still uninsured. They don't have any life insurance, which
Right.
doesn't make sense. So,
Right.
yeah, if you're going to have a motorcycle, get $500,000 or $1 million of insurance on you. So if you do get killed, at least your family's okay.
Right.
I mean, you're not going to pay more for insurance, believe it or not, if you're, unless you race motorcycles or race cars, then you're going to pay more. But just a normal hobby of, owning a motorcycle, you'll get cheap insurance just like a jogger. I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. I figured it would be more.
They don't ask you if you ride a motorcycle. Just if you race.
Okay.
If you race.
Right. Wow. Well, friends, we're going to take another quick break. We're talking about the basics of financial stability, things that you need to have in your family's financial plan.
Before you think about Bitcoin or the next hot stock, right?
Exactly. So we're going to take a short break. Do two things. Go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com, todaysretirees.com. You'll find all kinds of information there. And you can also set up an appointment to go in and sit down with Wayne, and he can help you with all kinds of financial planning for your family at 866-626-3990. We'll be back right after this.
A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find a independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio. So we've all heard the word rollover when referring to an investment account at work, or your 401k, your 403b, your 457 plan. What do you do with that when you've left your job and your 401k or other retirement plan is still at your old employer? Or what if you've retired? One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to leave your money, your retirement account, in your employer's 401k. Quite frankly, your old employer or current employer is the boss of your retirement account. So if you have questions about what to do with your rollover, you roll it to Wayne. Get it in your own hands where you have the whole universe of investments and choices, not just what your employer tells you can pick from. So contact my office for a free consultation on how to roll over your old retirement account.
Welcome back to Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. We're talking today about some basic information, basic plan that you need to have before you start investing in I'm going to use my words, not Wayne's words, speculative stocks and Bitcoins.
Well, really anything. I mean, even 401ks, IRAs, rental properties, stocks. I mean, just if you're a family, you should have this stuff. You should have simple life insurance, simple disability insurance, and simple legal documents. I mean, it's like the basics
So this is where you start.
of it's, I don't even know if you'd call it a financial plan. I guess it would be, but you're not planning for retirement or anything. It's just to cover your family in case something weird happens.
Now, would you say that one of those, I mean, I know you're talking about, the different, life insurance and disability insurance, power of attorney, medical power of attorney, all of these things. Is any of them more important? Where would you start? Or would you start as get it all done?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, it's so easy to cover all three bases. I mean, it's in one day you could, meet with an insurance agent, meet with an attorney, and it's done.
Sure.
I mean, so I guess it would start with your family makeup. If you're a single person, life insurance is cheap, disability is cheap. You really don't need it at that point because you don't have a family, but it's cheap and you're healthy and you're young at the time.
Sure.
So, that's the time to get it is when it's your youngest and healthiest because now it's going to be that cheap for the rest of your life.
So once you buy it, let's say you're 20, you just got out of college, you're 22, 23 years old, and you buy it now, is it going to remain that price for 20 years?
Yeah. I mean, if the disability policy is level premium. I mean, I've been paying the same premium for 25 years.
Sure. Okay.
And if I were to get a policy now, it'd be, 20, 30 times that annually. So, I mean, if I could even get it, right? So you got to be able to get insured, life or disability. Then you got to decide, do you want, like for life insurance, do you just want term? I have some term policies now that are expiring because, they were 20-year term and I wanted my youngest to be of age. And
sure.
So, you make a decision, do we let it lapse or do you convert it to a permanent policy or whatever? So we're, letting it lapse. 20 years is up.
Sure.
The premium went from like, I don't know, $200 a quarter, $300 a quarter, to $1,900 a quarter. I don't know what it was before, but so, do we want to keep paying that for, but this insurance served its purpose. My kids are out of the house and, I mean, we still have more life insurance, don't get me wrong, but just that particular policy.
Sure.
So, yeah, you got to set it up for your situation, your profession, your lifestyle, your family, what you desire to want to have happen if you were to pass away, unexpectedly.
Sure.
Do you want your kids to still go to the same schools or, do you want them and your spouse to live in the same house? Do you want your spouse not working, just if she wasn't working, when you were alive and working?
Right.
Do you want that same lifestyle? Do you want them to be able to afford that?
Sure.
Or do you like, which a lot of people, they don't do anything about it. They just don't.
So should you mentioned, we're making an assumption here that the man or in the spousal
breadwinner,
relationship,
whoever,
the
yeah.
breadwinner. Should you also have things like that on the non-breadwinner?
Absolutely. I mean, that's, if you have a spouse, say just use male and female, if the wife's home taking care of the kids and that, and something happened to the wife, I mean, now you got daycare instead of the wife taking care of the kids, or if it was a male, whatever, vice versa. So yeah, I mean, and most households today, it's, they're both working. Right. So you definitely want life insurance on both.
Sure.
Maybe disability on both. I don't know. I mean, it's just disability is it's so underused, and it's like the most popular insurance people don't have. I mean, people buy cancer policies before they'll buy disability insurance, and it should be considered.
Sure.
Right, and you can make a decision. Now I'm just going to roll the dice, but it should be considered.
Right. Is there a number that we should look? I mean, I know you said for life insurance, somewhere between 5 and 7% higher, or times, not percent,
or what you would want your spouse to sue the person for that killed you. That's another example. Or a needs-based. If you need $50,000 a year, you just do the math.
Right.
Disability, it's whatever. If you're going to do your own occupation, whatever you're earning, you can get up to 60% of that.
Sure. Okay. All right. And premiums, is that all over the board depending on the company you use? Are they pretty?
All over the board. A young person can get term insurance for $500 per year, say per $250,000, depending on their health, or cheaper. Disability insurance. I'll just go from what I was paying, for the last 25 years. I think I'm paying about $350 a month, for what my salary was at the time.
Sure.
60% of that.
Right.
And I have another policy too, so I have two policies.
Right.
So I pay a lot a month for disability because if I can't work, it's it's going to cost us a lot of money.
Right. And you want
That's not good.
Right.
I'm a financial planner. These things should be done. I have them, so I just teach other people they should be considering the same.
Sure. And folks, if you're my age, and you have waited, and
it's too late. No,
well, that's what Wayne's saying.
No,
it's too late.
Kidding.
But talk to your kids and your grandkids, and maybe if you have the ability, help them set that up so that they don't get caught in the same situation that I find myself in.
You're healthy. It's not everyone makes it through without, right?
Exactly. So the Lord's been very good to us. But listen, take some time, go to Wayne's website, todaysretirees.com, pick up the phone at 866-626-3990, make an appointment, get in there, and let Wayne help your family put together a plan that makes sense for you. We'll see you the next time.
A certified financial planner is a true professional, a well-rounded, holistic planner that helps you in all areas of your financial life. Estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, insurance planning. We have to sit for a 10-hour, 2-day exam, at least back when I took the test. It's not just a weekend designation where you go somewhere for a couple days, pay a couple $100, and now you have letters behind your name. One thing I think is important is that you try and find an independent certified financial planner. Somebody that doesn't work for a big firm. I myself own my company, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. The buck stops with me, an independent, certified financial planner, one of the only ones on the north coast of Ohio.
Thanks for tuning in to today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Visit todaysretirees.com or call 866-626-3990 to schedule a no-cost appointment with Wayne. Today's Retirees is brought to you by Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management, family-focused retirement and tax planning services, anchored in family values. Information and opinions discussed on today's Retirees do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station. Opinions expressed should not be substituted for individualized consultation with a qualified financial advisor. For specific information, call 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.